So,
Renee, thanks for picking her up.
yeah, it's dealer's choice here.
So, and I wrote this down too, but we had an adjournment as we were walking in at 6:29. I moved, Tony seconded, and the vote was 4-0. So, and I wrote it down because we can do that later, but just so you know that that part has been officially adjourned. And so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. All right, at 6:31. We'll call this special meeting to, or regular, sorry, now we're in a regular meeting order. For USD 338 Board of Education, may I have approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Okay, Phil has moved and Susan has seconded. The agenda as presented, all those in favor, please say aye and raise your right hand. Aye. Motion carries 6-0. All right. I move we enter into executive session with Mr. Dorothy, Dr. Chad Breckheisen, and Brad Finkeldye to discuss personnel pursuant to the justification under coma for non-elected personnel. And the open meeting will resume at 6:55.
Okay.
Chris has seconded. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. All right, executive session until 6:55, and Megan will write this stuff down too. Chris, second. Okay.
Kelly, you got all that? I got all that. Yeah, sorry. No, that's okay. No, I got it. Okay, thank you. And those
All right. All right, calling the meeting back to order. I move we enter into executive session with Mr. Dorothy to discuss personnel pursuant to the exception under coma for non-elected personnel, sorry, and also Brad Finkeldye. Thank you. So that's Mr. Dorothy and Brad Finkeldye. Excuse me. And the open meeting will resume at 7:15. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your right hand. Aye. 6-0. I just choked on my own saliva. Okay, I'll
whatever
get
you
it to
wrote
you.
down.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your patience. We will call this meeting to order, and I apologize because we forgot to say the Pledge of Allegiance at the very beginning. So let's go ahead and do that now. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, may I have an approval for the consent agenda, please? Second, Phil has moved and Susan has seconded. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, recognition. We have what educational highlight tonight? Dr. Craig Hare is going to talk to us about that.
Mrs. Jenny Varner, who is our family super science teacher at the high school. We currently have 11 different career and technical education pathways, and Jenny's classes are part of 4 of those pathways. So her classes are part of, wrote them down here so I wouldn't forget. Maybe I need to move it a little bit. I think it's
Hear
on.
it.
Try that. Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, so the 4 pathways that her classes are part of are family, community, and consumer services, restaurant and event management, the teacher training pathway, and health sciences. So as you can tell, Jenny is a big part of our CTE program here at Baldwin High School. This is her 2nd year with us, and I am always so excited to see the things she's doing in our classroom. So without further ado, here is Jenny. Yes, I can help. Do you want to hold or do you want to try to?
30 seconds.
Okay, got it. Okay, I brought homework. So, wait a minute, I gotta get my phone out because you only got a minute to do your homework.
Man.
After these get passed out.
Nope.
Okay.
No, I got one.
Okay.
I do. Okay, thanks.
We start now.
You gotta wait till the last person gets theirs.
Gotta put my name.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, if you want to participate, you need a paper.
Is the prize the baby?
No, you
Just
just
kidding.
Sorry.
I'm not gonna play.
Maybe cries on
Okay,
it.
you get 1 minute to think of as many different types of salads as you can. Ready, set, go.
Spelling is terrible.
Yeah.
I can't read it, it doesn't count.
Uh-oh.
Oh, gosh, dang.
Yeah.
Teacher.
Scribble, it's real. Can we use Google?
Do not use your online resources today. You have 30 seconds left. Fifteen seconds.
Spell. Really? Oh, man.
Like 5.
5, 4,
I hate all 5 of these.
1. Okay, pins down. All right. You sweating?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, it's hard. Okay, so who's out of 10 different salads? Raise your hand. Oh, man. Okay. whew.
If they're legal.
How many?
Oh, I got 11.
11.
Man.
Anybody have more than 11?
I don't know if they're all legal though.
Yours are legal or not?
I don't know if they're all legal.
Okay, tell me what you got.
Okay. I got fruit salad, Jello salad, spinach salad, chicken salad, Caesar salad, Greek salad, tomato salad, chef salad, southwestern salad, taco salad, sort of related, and Greek salad.
The Greek salad.
Oh, Caesar salad, Italian salad, a Greek and Italian. They really are like fruit jello, spinach, Caesar, Greek, Italian, tomato, chef, Southwestern taco, chicken.
Okay, we'll count all those.
Okay.
Nobody had more than that? All right.
Oh,
Well, you're all winners in my eyes, but we can only have one prize winner. And so you get one of our cookie mixes that FCCLA put together. And so it's a fundraiser with the little cookie cutter. So
That's adorable. Thank
here
you.
for you, so you can make some cookies this holiday season. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we get to do lots of fun activities in all of my classes. As I tell my students, every day is a project day because they always come in and, are we doing a project today? I'm like, you guys, every day is project day in my classes. So I brought a couple of things to highlight, and you have a packet in your folder that are a paper in your folder. Yeah. Have a lot more detailed information in there because I have a short amount of time, so I wanted to share a little bit more than what I will talk about. So this is my second year at Baldwin High School. Previously I taught at Lawrence High School. The majority of my career working in community education, so not in a classroom. So I primarily taught a lot of cooking nutrition classes in community-based settings through extension and then also at LMH Health. So I think there's a lot of that real world experience to the classroom, which I think students like, telling them stories that help connect to what we're doing. Like, that, yeah, this really does happen. This is my experience with it, or this is what I've seen. So we have a lot of good time sharing some of those stories and getting their questions help sort of deepen their understanding a little bit of some of our topics. So the culinary classes right now, we have Culinary Essentials, which is an introduction class to help kids get their feet wet in the kitchen if they haven't had any cooking experience, and that's just a semester-long class. Culinary 1 is a year-long class, and Culinary 2 is a year-long class. So right now we have 2.5 years worth of culinary classes available at Baldwin High School, and then we also have Human Growth and Development, which I teach. We currently just offer 1 semester of that. Sometimes that curriculum, if we had the resources to expand that out, we can have a second section of that to cover the rest of the lifespan. So we focus primarily on birth to 5 years of age in that class. So we start at the beginning and we get them through about 5 years of development. The kids refer to that class as C class. So this is little wheelchair babies. So you see it in case you have seen one. Has anybody had a student bring home a wheelchair baby? No, not yet. Okay, well, the baby happy, just like that. And yes, they cry, just like a real baby. And in the middle of the night, just like a real baby. So I was telling Jan, I give the students my cell phone number to text in case there's an emergency. Just like real parents, they need to have a contact person in case they start to feel overstressed. Who is going to be your support person? And for them, it's going to be me most of the time. So yes, we receive texts at 2 a.m. in the morning because the baby is crying and they don't know what to do, and they've tried everything and they can't stop it from crying, just like a real parent would experience. And so the Real Care Baby helps us sort of give them that experience without actually having a real baby, right? Beforehand to know, like, wow, this is, I changed my life to be able to care for another human being. This isn't something that's like a game or something I can just joke around and pretend. And that's usually the conversation that we have afterwards is they really have a better understanding of what it would take to care for another human being. And most of them realize you're not going to care for another human being at this time in their life, which is good. These are recognized. So this is our new one that we were able to purchase with some of our grant funding that we get through CTE. They are very expensive. The babies cost about $1,000 because they're basically a computer. So they keep track of the baby's temperature, what it's wearing, is it in the car seat, are they holding it? Did they feed it on time? Did they burp it? Did they change the baby's diaper? Like, they keep track of all of that. We have a little computer printout that tells them how well they did, and it sort of gives them a number grade that we use to give them a score for how well they did taking care of the baby. I would say on average, 3 around 80% care rate for our baby. It's pretty hard. Especially at night. They tend to sleep through some of the babies crying. If it's like the second night, they'll be like, well, the baby it slept through the night. I'm pretty sure it didn't sleep through the night. Sure enough, it would be like 2 or 3 missed care events. So that is what the real care leave looks like. And I will tell you a crazy story. I had, we try to go over how you care for a baby, all of that fun stuff. And they put the baby in a car, a real car, like a real baby in the car seat. I had a student a few years ago I got to the field data and it came out parking lot. And the baby was fine, unharmed, thanks to her feet. But the student didn't even know to text me all weekend. And I waited until like, surely they're gonna tell me they lost the baby. Like, take care of your baby. No, sorry, I lost the baby. They had no idea that I had fallen out of the car. That I had fallen out of the back of the truck. They didn't even know what had happened to it. Okay. And they waited 3 days to report missing baby. So after life lessons, right there. Learning life lessons all the time. The other thing that I wanted to share real quick before I ask some questions is we are working on getting our SCCLA group back and going into sort of this organization that parallels what I teach in the classroom. That allows students to dive a little bit deeper into some of the topics that we don't have time in the classroom. So it stands for Family, Career, Community Leaders of America. And hopefully we are getting some students that are really going to be able to explore some of these career pathways a little bit more in depth. And they get to do that in a variety of ways, but one of them coming up will be to prepare a presentation that they take to a district competition. And that will be happening in February. So I have probably about 6 students right now that are working on those presentations. There is a physical display they have to put together, and then also a verbal presentation that they have to give. So preparing some public speaking skills and being able to put together a polished professional display is one of the things that we're working on being able to do. Well, the last thing I wanted to say is you told me I also worked on getting us certified as a ProStart curriculum for culinary classes again. I don't know if we were in the past on that, but we had old textbooks that fit the ProStart curriculum, which is through the Kansas Restaurant Association. So I worked on some of the paperwork for that this fall. And one of the great things about doing that is they will provide some grant resources to our school. And one of the first things they did was send me updated textbooks for free for my classroom, which I know doesn't seem very exciting to you, but it was like early Christmas present when they showed up in the mail. I was like, oh my gosh, so exciting. So that was a huge hit. And there will be other opportunities in the future to help us, I think, replace some equipment in the kitchen and just update some things so that way our students have access to some more, I guess, modern kitchen equipment might be the right word. Okay, what questions do you have?
I love what you're doing. Love it.
Oh, thanks.
Can you talk a little about your teacher pathway program?
For helping just learn about becoming a teacher. Yeah, so actually, Autumn, one of our counselors, helps sort of facilitate that pathway, but they take some of my classes, and then the big experience is to do like basically like a little mini lesson plan where they go and they teach that in typically an elementary school classroom, or they will do some job shadowing where they'll go shadow a teacher, and Autumn helps facilitate that job shadowing experience. But one of the things that we do in FCCLA is work on the lesson planning part of it, so that way they have those resources ready to go and they're prepared to do the job shadowing. We haven't really been able to do that obviously last year or really this year, but I think that's something that we want to be able to do in the next couple of years.
Nice.
You're so upset about the salad, aren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah, I can tell.
I can't believe I didn't think of Greek.
Any other questions? Oh, we have a garden, school garden. So you should come check out our school garden that we got started as well. Last year, Mr. Harmon helped us build 4 raised garden beds. So that way we could, well, I'm a big fresh produce thing, especially in the kitchen. And so, not that I don't appreciate what the grocery stores provide me, but I really like having access to fresh vegetables when they're in season. And so I'm hoping that we can expand that and build a little bit more. I know I've talked to Nicole Burnett about some options that we have working with the food service to maybe expand that a little bit more. So hopefully we'll do more of that in the future.
Thank you. I just want to commend you for getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then one more question. Does side salad count as a salad?
Well,
It's okay.
That gets you to 12.
It didn't help me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming. So we don't have a certificate, but we still like to celebrate excellence, which is why we moved these kinds of presentations to our educational highlight moment. So on behalf of USD 348 Board of Education, thank you so much for the presentation. Thank you for all you do to help contribute towards excellence in our district. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, moving on to public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for the board to listen. In accordance to district policy BCPI, this is the agenda time during the meeting when an individual may address the board. The board welcomes up to 10 patrons to speak. Each of the patrons will have the opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. Those wishing to make public comment are asked to sign up on the night of the meeting prior to 7 p.m. With the exception of not discussing specific matters related to identifying students or staff by name due to confidentiality considerations, there are no restrictions regarding the subject matter the patron wishes to share with the board. Also, if a delegation of persons comes to discuss a single issue, every effort should be made to avoid redundancy by each person stating only new facts or new perceptions during the allotted time. Board members are not to respond during this time. Again, this is the time established in the meeting for board members to prioritize listening to the public. Tonight we have one person who has signed up, and that is Ken Snyder. If you would come forward so we can hear you at the microphone, sir. Thank you for coming. And his topic of public comment is mental health days off. Thanks for joining us tonight, sir.
Thank you. My name is Ken Snyder. I've got 2 kids at the primary center. Last month's board meeting, the idea was brought up of adding a few extra days off to the calendar. And I was just thinking, kind of rubbing the wrong way in the aspect of after with all the issues of the pandemic last year, we're clamoring about how much education time was lost. It seemed a little inconsistent to say that we have a few extra days to throw away, and that I feel like, really with kids missing so much the last year that it wouldn't be responsible just to add an extra time off. So from the kids' standpoint, I don't think that helps. And also from the aspect of mental health for the teachers, I don't think that's come, in my mind, that's more of a Band-Aid solution. I feel like if we have people in our district who are teaching because they love kids and love to teach, then it's important to find out what's going on where that love and joy is not there anymore. So probably more up to the administrators to sit down and figure out what's going on. Is there a process or policies that are kind of taking the fun out of their job for them? Because like I said, I don't think, everyone would take a couple extra days off if they had it, but I don't think that's in the best interest of the long-term for teacher mental health or for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to financial report. First up is the junior high heating, ventilation, air conditioning bid.
Yes, we have a project on our capital outlay list, scheduled to be done hopefully this summer. We did let bids on that, and we had one response. We did 2 different series of HVAC units, and one came back. This was for 10 units for the junior high, and the bid for one came back at 176,000. The other was 195,000, and our budget for this was 100,000. So what we're going to do, what we would propose is to go ahead and reject this bid. Then we will go back and modify the bid documents to not only open up to a few more vendors in terms of the 1 units versus any other type of units. So I think we'll adjust that a little bit, and then also probably take it down to like 6 units in terms of the ones that need to be replaced the most. And we do that and bring it back to the board and see if we can still get this project done this summer. So if I can have a motion to reject all bids.
I'll do that. Motion to reject all bids.
Thank you.
Phil has moved and Tony seconded to reject all bids at this time. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand. Aye. Motion carries. Bids rejected. Thank you for updating us on that. Budget 22-23.
Yes, and looking at our student count that we got from KSTE, we're looking at the on-site enrollment piece of our funding is going down in enrollment again this year. Keep in mind, we also have about 30 to 40 students in the virtual program with a separate program cost and separate funding for that, which basically washes out the virtual students, and we still have a decrease in enrollment for the on-site students that we'll need to adjust for. This year, our state aid amount is increasing, or I should say for next year, for 22-23. Our state aid amount is increasing for people, but because we're losing another about 40 kids, the funding will be very close to flat, and we will be looking at budget decisions in the next month to bring you some options of things we may want to reallocate. So that's all I have at this time. Are there any other questions about that?
I do have a question about ESSER 3, which I know isn't directly related to our projected budget, but just in looking ahead and keeping an eye on our contingency fund. I know that the ESSER 3, the requirements have changed quite a bit, right, from where it started.
Yes.
Okay, and I know we had plans about how to, some of what we were going to do, and we were hoping we were going to get some of that done by now.
Yeah.
Right, and so could you take a look at in the budget, is it possible, and maybe this is not even legal to do, so that's why I'm asking you, the expert. To me, I am not. Is there a way to possibly look at allocating funds from contingency so that we can do what we wanted to do and then replace with ESSER 3 funds? And I'm asking this at this time because it does relate into other projects. I mean, knowing how you're going to move things also relates to the big picture of what you then bring to us. And that's why I'm asking it now. I'm not bugging you about it with an email later.
Right. So a couple things on that. If we were entirely confident that something that we had on our list of things, we thought that would pass the application process and be approved, then if we were still in the same fiscal year, yes, you could think about spending X amount of dollars for one thing and then drawing it down with federal funds during that same fiscal year. The interesting part about ESSER 3 is we now have community groups that we need to meet with to help define what we do with those funds. And that's a significant change from ESSER 1 or ESSER 2. And so really, we need to see what those groups would like to do with the ESSER 3 funds. before we could have a whole lot to say about how we utilize them.
Gotcha. Okay. I just don't want to lose, not that we're going to lose track of it, but it's just, we're not where we thought we hoped we could be with that because of the changes. And I just want to be, I just want to be transparent about the reason why and communicate that we've not forgotten. There's just some other steps that we have to complete before we can do that. So.
And I would say that as the 3 process, while it is more in depth, we could still roll it out, and as long as we set our mind to getting those meetings done primarily, and then the results of that, we can get it applied for and start drawing down funds, I would still think, during second semester.
Okay.
So that is my thought process anyway.
Board members, how do you feel? So I know we're all about the meetings, but don't even get mad at me. But a big chunk of that was money for teachers. So I would just like to bring up, although I know we all love spending so much time together, if it means we've got to crack the whip and get these meetings scheduled, I would like, whatever we need to lend to that to get it going. Hey, we know how to do that now. We can.
Yeah.
Do it quick. Can site councils be used for these meetings? If this is more like a community-wide?
I could probably be used for one of the meetings. We're supposed to meet with about 7 different demographics of folks. Did you want to?
Yeah, Chris, they are very specific groups. I council would fit in one of those groups. And I think we were talking about site council members for the very several different groups. The local people that they want us to visit with. So it's very sporadic.
But there's 7 different groups, and that's 7 separate meetings?
One will not probably apply because they don't have an affiliate of a unique tribe in our district. So that one will apply. The other 6 will. There are a number of them that are designated.
And there are 6 specific different meetings, or it can be 6
different phases.
But you couldn't do one after the other, after the other, after the other.
Can do it one right after the other,
Right.
which is what I would hope to do, is just kind of do them in rows. We're not doing them 6 times. It's hopefully we can several in a row.
Do board members, this was another thing, do board members need to be, I was thinking there's no representation.
In fact, there's some of them that would not have.
Okay.
members. And
I might have
there is one group that I think would have board members involved, but
Okay.
the rest of them are, it's community, it's parents, it's staff. It's, I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Oh, it's okay.
Off the top of my head. There's one in there, civil rights. We have to find a civil rights affiliate, which I'm assuming we're going to have to go through someone through boards, but we can closest one we can go to.
We have a Baker student group that could probably, yeah. Well, be that as it may, whatever we need to do to help support getting the meetings and with that, or help that the board can provide, I don't want to let the paint dry on that because I know it helps you guys too. And
I promise that those meetings are going to happen in January.
okay, thank you.
Yes. We really, they would have happened prior to the break, and then they informed us about all rules about this. We were ready to get that going, and then they informed us.
Yeah.
So we held off, and now we held off because it's other than,
Right.
and then. So then January, our decision was to start having those meetings where we could.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Administrative reports, site council update.
That's me and you.
Oh, district site council. Okay. Now I understand it.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
well,
Okay, I can go.
If
Okay.
you want to fill in,
Okay,
we'll work together.
we will teamwork.
The duet.
So we had our last district site council a few weeks ago, and we, Dr. Hare helped present some information at that. We wanted to make sure that was in front of the group. That was also on the same day as one of the superintendent focus groups meetings that were offered. So again, just want to lead with gratitude because we have a lot of people in our community who are very engaged and participating in multiple ways. Very thankful for that. This is the last year, we're in year 5. So we have that meeting and then we have one more in the spring, but we'll do that after the outside visiting team comes.
I believe that's correct. We wanted to talk about how this and what possible
Essentially, we went over, and this was not in our educational highlight, but we really should talk about it. We talked about the amazing things that are going on in our district, and Mr. Dorothy can speak more about this because you just went to the state and talked about this, but we received three different distinctions. One was for civic engagement for our district. One was for social emotional education or outreach. I can't remember exactly how it's phrased. Growth, social emotional growth. And talk more about that in a minute. And the third one was, I think, citizenship. No, it wasn't. It was academic preparedness. Jana's nodding her head, so I got it right. The neat thing about the social emotional growth part, that recognition, is that we were only one of 2 schools to receive that distinction. So there were a lot of application materials that were involved for us to receive those. Mr. Dorothy and Jana actually presented to the state board, particularly about the part of social emotional growth. And we've identified that as something that we want to do and do well. And so it was really nice that we were one of 2 schools to be recognized for our efforts. Mr. Dorothy, could you talk a little bit more about, because it was just us and one other school, right? DeSoto, okay.
The DeSoto School District was also, both of us received silver awards. Those were the highest ones given. There were a couple other districts in that category, but we were the 2 chosen to come and talk to the State Board of Education, which we did. Sydney Novotny went with June and I to the State Board, and each of us kind of split it up into 3 parts and presented our parts to the State Board regarding what we've done in the last few years on social and emotional growth in the district. And certainly this district has brought together a whole lot of different programs and have involved a lot of different agencies in what we have done in this district. So it was nice talking to the board. It was at the very end of their 2 days worth of school board meetings for them. They actually meet in 2 days. We were the last group in the afternoon. So they were as attentive as they could be as we were presenting ours. They give presentations like ours, one after another. So it was good. I will say this, our state board member in Mom was there. She complimented us and then also came up to me afterwards and would sure like to come in to one of our board meetings this spring if she could to visit for a little bit. So I thought maybe we could get Ann here if we could.
Absolutely. Couple of other things from district site council. I mean, we try to give an overview. I mean, remember that's district level. And so we try to give an overview of everything from our early childhood education up on through as we touch upon that. But it isn't just about telling the group what's happening. It's also about intentionality with asking for feedback, and some good feedback has and continues to come from that group. Some of the things that we'll want to make sure we circle back to, they came up in conversation, is how are we communicating what's the data from our kids who participated in summer school? How is that looking as they, go through this year? Do we see differences of kids who were able to utilize summer school so that it informs future program, which we're doing that anyways, but it's always that good reminder that we have to communicate the results of that and what we're doing. The same was said and asked about any differences in metrics between our online students from last year, particularly, and on-site, and how that might inform future things. So there's really good feedback. I could give other examples, but just to kind of give, Andy, is there anything else you can think of from that meeting? I'm just trying to touch upon everything.
No, I think you got it.
Okay. Mr. Dorothy, anything else?
I don't have anything else. I think that's it.
Okay. Questions from you guys? Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and move on then to old business. Acoustical testing results from the junior high gym.
Mike Kelly is going to present on this. The testing that was done last week in the junior high during the game. We kind of waited until we had the game. Certainly, I think Tuesday night's game.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So I think we were able to test it well.
I might have been personally responsible for several decibels.
Well, I wanted to be at that game too, but I got called out because I'm kind of at a disadvantage because I don't know what it was like before they put the panels up. So, but the other night I made it in just in the last seconds, and it was loud, but it wasn't overly loud, I don't think. I think you guys all got the report earlier. I was there when they came back and did the reverberation testing with the panels. The new panels knocked, what to say, about 1.2 to 2.7 seconds off the echoes. So that helped me out quite a bit. With the testing that you can get the other night, it did the same thing as testing in February 20. And they set up a meter during the JV girls game and the varsity girls game. And according to their calculations, the February game was, the attendance was anywhere from 25 to 50% full that night. And this last week, they were looking at a 50 to 75% capacity. During the February game, the highest decibel reading that they had was 107 with less people. And the highest decibel reading we had the other night was right at 100. And they didn't have any decibel readings above 100 all night with more people in there. So I think the acoustic panels, going by the numbers, are working. But I mean, I can't tell you what it sounded like before, but I know, and I can't tell you what the announcers sounded like during the game. I know you were there. I saw you and Kelly. I know after the game, I was talking to the tech, and he had a mask on. People were milling around. We could carry on a conversation just fine. While we were carrying on a conversation, they were trying to say something over the intercom, and all I heard was, it's just, you couldn't hear anything. They were understanding, I could just barely hear it. So I think we do need to look at the sound system. I've got a call in with DLR tomorrow. We're going to set up a conference call, and we're going to find out if we're just going to find out our options with them. If we can go through a vendor and do it ourselves, or we need them to come in and manage it with us. So, and I'll have something for you guys as soon as I find out. So, questions or?
Oh, that was going to be something I wanted to put on the agenda as a new item, because it is definitely quieter in there. It is definitely more, you can hear people talking, just like you said, much better. I was just trying to calculate how much we spent per decibel reduction because it's not an insignificant amount, but it was embarrassing to me to listen to like the halftime music or the warm-up music because it just, I mean, it sounded like my 73 Pinto when I was in high school with the blown out speakers. You know, that just it sounds awful. It's terrible. Microphones cutting out. You can hear about every third word that the announcer's saying.
So it's not a reverberation thing.
No, it's not a reverberation thing. I think that's been pretty well proven now. Because again, you can stand on the other side of the court and you can talk and you can hear, and it's not the echo anymore. It is that it sounds like every speaker in there is blown. You know,
and the fixing of the other part, I mean, if we had to do it in this order, because if you just get a new sound system and you don't fix that, then it's like you're chasing stuff. So fixing that has actually exposed now how bad this is in this new climate. And so, you can't understand, and I'm glad you were there to hear that for yourself.
Well, I really wanted to be there listening to them announce the girls and, you know, get a full feel for it, but I was just called away. And couldn't do it.
You didn't miss anything. You couldn't hear what they said.
Well, that's good.
Your description was correct.
Well, and they said in the report too, that the tech could hear the referees and the coaches, and he was up on the last row in the seats, and he could hear.
I mean, it sounds just for people talking in there, great, but you can't hear anything over the mic speakers.
Yeah. So I'll let you guys know what I
Thank
find out
you.
tomorrow.
I do have a budget question related to this. Do we have money budgeted for a sound system this year?
Yeah, we have capital outlay of 30,000.
Okay.
So that was for 21, 22.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. All right, new business, consider board meeting locations. So that's where we want to be.
Right. So we've been meeting, as you know, in this room for quite a while with changes in going to other spots. So you guys know that we used to meet in the primary center in the community room, which is now a classroom. So we really can't go back there again, at least for now. So the question I wanted to bring tonight was a discussion about, do you want to continue meeting here? Or would you guys rather go to a smaller place such as the junior high library, the intermediate center library we've been there before? Are there other locations that you guys would like to do this rather than here?
Would they be able to accommodate our crowds?
Tonight's crowd, yeah. Some of our crowds.
I mean, I don't have preference wherever.
Any feelings from anybody else?
Just in terms of access, what are going to be the easiest? I know there's lots of events that happen in this room. There's lots of athletics that are going on at the junior high and the high school, as well as the intermediate center at this time of year for basketball games and that type of thing. Where are we the least intrusive in terms of a location?
This location, you're exactly right. We've had some conflicts. We've bumped people out of here, but we've also bumped out so that they can use this, especially during musical time. Especially when they're setting up times. So
That'll be the same this spring with the play. There'll be a period of time.
So there are conflicts here where, let's say we were meeting in the intermediate center library, there might be a conflict, but most of the time there wouldn't be. The same way, the high school cafeteria, there will occasionally be conflicts there, depending on the ball games or an activity that might be going on. I think the board said that we would continue live streaming as we've been doing. I think the board talked about that. I did want Kay to talk a little bit about that. Kay, if we changed and went someplace else, what kinds of things, what does that do with the live streaming if we go other place?
The live streaming is probably easy about anywhere else that's smaller. if we were to continue doing it here, when we did the wireless mic upgrades, we probably want to do some things here more specific. We want to continue having meetings here. But yeah, it's different sort of equipment you need in a smaller space for live streaming. And there's quite a few things that make it a little bit easier when you're in a smaller space. I mean, just the setup itself here. I mean, it'd be nice to be someplace where maybe the desk could stay. I don't know if that place exists, but, but yeah, not so much the Wi-Fi component or anything. That's pretty much, stable around the district. It's more just the space and the acoustics in here and the, the types of mics we have. And
So you believe it might be easier if we were in a smaller space?
live streaming would be, not that it's impossible here. We just would maybe need some. I think if we had maybe some gooseneck mics that were used a little more consistently, then I wouldn't have to be trying to capture right in front of everybody. Yeah, there's just been some challenges in here as far as the audio. It's a combination of trying to get the audio out to the audience, but also to the people at home.
I mean, that's enough for me to say, but let's move somewhere else then. I mean, I feel like the days of us needing to be in here are kind of behind us. So I'm very comfortable saying, let's at least explore an option of moving somewhere.
Okay. Why did I do this? Why did I go and I'll talk some of the principles and see what spaces might be ready for regular and then see what you guys think as far as a group that's more good.
One other thought, Paul, in relation to this, I want to be cognizant of what's easiest for the community to get access to that room. Like, I bring this up because, like, for the junior high library, great space, but it's deep into the building, and so getting new constituents and community members to show up to those that deep in the building that maybe have never been in before might be difficult. So being cognizant of the first time attendee for a board meeting will be something to kind of keep an eye on too. And there was one convenience about our previous room. It was right off the, its own separate entrance almost to the PC. I'm not sure we have all the many convenient options that are a usable space that are going to have its own door kind of thing. But anyway, just think on that maybe.
Okay.
For what it's worth, I think the IC library checks a lot of boxes.
I think you're probably right. The doors are going to be, I mean,
it's a straight shot at least. I know it's
Yeah.
not right there in front,
No
but
turns.
you can't miss it. And it's big, but not too big.
I think we have to open up the whole building in that case though, because
Yeah.
for security purposes though, because it's past that second set of double doors. But I agree, that's where my mind goes. It's a big space, it's open, it's a very nice space. It would fit the bill, but it's just, usability, I don't know.
I think that would be a conversation with Mr. Wall Smith talking about that one. That's
Okay. I think it's unanimous that we don't want to be a pain. We don't want to cause more work on top of everything else, but we also want to be in a space where we can be heard, where people can feel welcome, and people who choose to engage online have a good way to do so without, no weirdness in the audio, which is more of a challenge in this room, I know. So, okay, you guys will take a look at that and we'll come back to it then.
yes.
Okay. But for our meeting in January, we'll have to decide, well, where we're going to be in January. So you guys can let us know. Okay, co-op report.
I was looking at Susan, see if she's going to jump in.
I don't
She
have
never
anything
does.
really significant to pass on, so I'll let you.
All right, two briefish piece of information for you. Number one, to give you an idea that we are working on the assessment increase from the co-op that's assigned to each of the districts. It's ballparking at about 2% increase, which is about what we did last year as well. So trying to stabilize that previous years it had oscillated up from, a 1% increase to an 8% increase. And we're trying to work on our budgetary requirements as well to kind of stabilize that over the long term. So we're projecting right now for that to be a 2% increase for the, whether it be 2022-23 school year, but more information on that to come. Other piece of information is that, so that board will meet on like January 11th or 12th or something. That'll be the last technical time that Susan and I are your representatives on that board from this board. So when we reconvene at our January meeting, we'll reassign as we do for all the other positions as well for that February meeting as well. So just because the sequence of how those meetings fall out, we still do have that additional meeting to go to in January, but we can have that conversation at our normal board meeting about who our reps are on that one. Other than that, any other details, Susan, that I'm leaving out? We need Paris still?
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but we say it every time, so.
Okay, still need Paris.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. Any questions on the assessment part or any of that?
Thanks for the work to stabilize that so we don't have as much. Yeah. Mr. Dorothy, I do have miscellaneous, but do you have anything for superintendent report?
I do not.
Okay, then I'm okay. That tells me what I need to know. So here's a couple of miscellaneous things. First of all, I want to make sure the board knows that our popcorn tins and poinsettias from us were delivered to all building and district locations, directors, etc. So that happened last week. I forgot to tell you guys that was done. The holidays are coming, and so I know we don't want a really long meeting, but I do think it's important, even though we're tired and we've been doing a lot of meetings, to well, where I grew up, it was in church, it was called Joys and Concerns. And it's just a minute to think about what has gone well, but also to not celebrate yourself too much. It's about being thankful for what went well, but then what do we have to make sure and keep our eye on in the year to come? Because we still have a lot of work to do. But there have also been some big, successes. I hate to try to categorize them, but I tried to come up with a list, but I want to open mic it. So if somebody else has a shout out, and that includes you guys too, if there's something else that you want to say, hey, this was something to celebrate, because I'm sure this won't be comprehensive. We have, and this is in no particular order, the Veterans Day programs that were put on by our elementary schools were absolutely amazing. They always are, but I thought they were particularly thoughtful this year for whatever reason. Maybe it was, I don't know, the way the kids continue to adapt and their teachers to create and make really special things, I think is important for our community. It's a great outreach. We have organizations, volunteers of people working on behalf of the district all the time. The Bullpup Stroll raised an incredible amount of money for their school this year. And that's parents and everybody working together. The Bash, the culinary teacher who was here earlier, the culinary class actually, I know this is random, but it's cool. They provided the baked beans for the Bash. That's never happened before. So there are just neat connections and different things that are happening. We're so lucky to have the Baldwin Education Foundation. Not every district has an entire foundation entity raising money on its behalf to give additional grants. I mean, it's just important that we take stock. As mentioned earlier, we got these 3 really nice awards for academic preparedness, civic engagement, and social emotional growth. Our early childhood program, which we don't want to forget is coming up against potentially huge cuts in funding. They're national blue ribbon winners. So it's like they're really good, and that's the joy. But the concern is, how are we going to, as a board, answer to that? It's not our cut, but it's going to affect our program, and we can't be complacent about that. More and more all the time, all the educational research says that this stuff gets hardwired at such a young age. Their passion throughout life about learning and the things that are happening in early childhood are huge. So we're going to have to keep our eye on that and how we respond. We've had 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place state finishes from high school teams. this past fall. We have 2 coaches that are up for National Coach of the Year, Kit Harris and Mike Spielman. We have scholarships that are already being won by seniors. We have really awesome things, hospitality that's going on in our buildings in new and creative ways. So the point is to say, and then project-based learning happening. There's been really cool projects, and I hope we get to hear more about that. There are a lot of things, but as we know, there's still a lot of challenges. Next month, we're going to appoint a new board member, and we're going to be hiring a new superintendent. And so we have big decisions yet still to make. We have ESSER 3 steps to figure out so that we can do what we need to do with that. And, we have speakers to fix and HVAC systems and roofs and all the things. So we have a lot of work left, but I also think that it's an exciting time to be a school board member. It's definitely not been a boring time, but I do want to thank you guys for hanging in with it, because I think it's important work, and our students deserve that. And they deserve our best even when we're tired or don't have the next right idea. Somebody will if we stay patient and we keep working as a team. So I just want to thank you all for all of that. And that is my miscellaneous happy holidays message of we're tired, but let's keep working really hard in 2022. With no superintendent report, it looks like what we have left to do for tonight is executive session matters. Yeah.
Let me mention just one thing, just a reminder to the board and everyone that the vacant board position will be appointed at the regular January 4th meeting. Anyone interested in applying for that can receive an application on the website, or through Megan Johnson can get an application for that, and then that must be in by January 14th if someone has an interest in being considered. So, and then the board will make a decision on January 18th. That's all.
Okay.
Okay, it's currently 8:13, so I'll make a motion for executive session, and someone, you guys help me out on the time. But I move we enter into executive session with Mr. Dorothy to discuss personnel issue pursuant to the justification under coma for non-elected personnel. And the open meeting will resume at 8:13. What do you guys want to start with? 8:30? Okay, open meeting will resume at 8:30.
Second.
Okay, Susan seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you.
regarding non-elected, the exception for non-elected personnel, and the open meeting will resume at
45. All those in favor, please say aye, raise your right hand.
Aye.
I move we enter into executive session with Mr. Dorothy to discuss personnel pursuant to the justification under coma for non-elected personnel, and the open meeting will resume at 8:55. All those in favor? Aye. Yeah. All right, we'll call this meeting back to order. We have two personnel report to approve. And that's it. Is there a second? It's been moved and seconded. Chris moved, Andy seconded to approve the personnel report as presented. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your right hand. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And now, motion for adjournment. Was that Tony? It was Chris, sorry. Phil moved and Chris seconded to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Raise your right hand.